Good evening, everybody. I was very foolish in my opening tweet, which said that we were going to be examining Dota 2, so just give me a second here, and I'm going to change the title, change the the announcement, and we'll be ready for some Sunless Sea tonight. I think while I'm getting a little bit of my, house cleaning done, I can talk a bit about last night's stream. First of all, the feedback that I got in terms of things like follows and just general comments from people was extremely kind. That is definitely something that I'm looking to get some feedback in terms of whether or not people would like to see more Dota 2 content like that. Because I think if anything was, apparent from last night is that I have plenty to say about that game. And while a lot was said last night, there's definitely more that I feel can be done, either on individual heroes or on other game concepts. I'd love to do some casting again. Those I tend to do a little bit differently, but... Oh no, everybody's retweeting the stream. Alright. Tweet is out. Apologies for those of you who decided to come in for... Oh, maybe not. Internal server error. Good lord. Alright. Yeah, so for those of you who are coming to watch Dota 2, you're in for disappointment. Alright, there we go. All this Twitter business has been dealt with. So yeah, now that my distractions are out of the way, good lord, there's a lot of you in here already. Welcome, everyone! I'm just trying to catch up a little bit in terms of setting the title and all of that right. So we're playing Sunless Sea instead of Dota 2. But as I was mentioning from last night, the feedback was pretty much positive overall. An unexpected number of follows that came out of a result with that. Excellent, Akadak. Great to see you again. I actually felt so... Sunless Sea is quite special to me because there were people who had recommended it to me, and it came at a time... I don't mean to make... I mean, I think everybody can make the cry of poverty, and in terms of where I am in life, especially completing the kind of degree for which, I have my ceremony on this coming weekend, my prospects... if I complete my master's degree, and just generally the fact that I have a laptop capable of streaming and internet connection and things like that, it's not right of me to make a very big deal in terms of money matters. But with that in mind, I did make a little bit of a decision about Sunless Sea at the time, not to purchase it because it was right around the price where I said that, it's not something that I can justify picking up, even if it's just for the stream. And I think it was one of the first donations, if I remember correctly, it was CPO Williams who gave this. And it was exactly what I needed to do Sunless Sea. So, and I'm hesitant to say that because I know CPO Williams did donate, and he was actually the first one to really suggest to me to put up a button. And then, of course, Endors followed up very quickly with that. So I owe both of them some games. And on top of that, Krunkalunka, who came in, also gave Divinity Original Sin. So each of the games that have kind of come as a result of donations to this stream have sort of gotten really good treatment on this stream. Hopefully when Yip's schedule gets a little bit better, we'll be able to continue some more Divinity Original Sin. But I played Sunless Sea kind of once, maybe twice, and I never really felt that I gave it a really fair playthrough, and it's not because I didn't enjoy it so much as that there were other things that sort of got in the way of completing it. So now that we've done Dragonfall, I really wanted to come back to this game just because, like I said, there's a certain resonance to this title, specifically in terms of reaching certain milestones as a streamer and the support that the stream has been so ready to give me. That this is a story that I really wanted to make sure that we got through. Now, of course, when speaking about milestones for the stream, I definitely am Gonna do more Dota 2 content, somewhat similar to what we did last night, unless people have some feedback that it's not something that they would like to see, and in that case I kind of go back and retool the format. But what I'm trying to do now is sort of find a place for it. So what I may wind up doing is adding another concrete day to the schedule. I've also noticed there's a couple of streams that I like to catch which only come on Mondays, so I may need to just reevaluate the schedule overall. I'm going to be having a meeting for research on Wednesday, so my schedule may be changing around that. So if it turns out that I need to adjust the times around a little bit, I may reconsider the form of the schedule that I have. Although generally I'd like to keep the things that have been constant, I'd like to keep them constant, because in the end I think consistency sort of matters for these things. But with that in mind, I think that's about all of the housekeeping to get out of the way. Thank you everybody for coming out tonight, and again, thank you very much for all of the support from yesterday, because it's definitely, I'll admit, like if you were to talk to some of my friends who are maybe not big Twitch fans, but just people I've known since high school, I did express some concern about doing something big and popular like Dota 2, just because it tends to attract a type of viewer that's not necessarily conducive to a positive atmosphere, and I got the exact opposite of my expectations. People were active, people were very supportive, so I think it's a little bit of a story of a lot of things that I wind up doing, which is it's all well and good to sit down and theorize about a bunch of things, but in the end the reality matters, and I probably shouldn't have had those fears, because you guys are always there to back me up. I will say one other thing which is not directly stream related, but I gotta let you know. I am reading a book. Now, it's a bit of an older book right now, and I believe there was an HBO movie about it, but I gotta talk about this because I have been stuck with textbooks for so long that it's occurred to me it's been a really long time since I've sort of picked up something and said, I am not reading this with any study intention in the back of my head. Like, this is just purely like, I'm reading this for fun, and I'm not going to touch anything else until I at least get one book that's purely for pleasure out of the way. The book is Game Change. It's about the 2008 presidential election. The subtitle, Obama and the Clintons, McCain and Palin, and the Race of a Lifetime. I can't remember when I started reading it, but it must have been like a couple of days ago. It's, I think, about 400 pages. I've got the paperback edition. I'm at page 224. Like, it's just been ripping... I've been ripping through it, and it's like, it's a nonfiction book. Like, it's about a political campaign. I've worked on a couple of Canadian ones, but this is a really good book. There's a couple of reasons I recommend it, which is, number one, I think the characters are interesting. And I mean, obviously, they're real-life people who are still hearing about in the news. Obviously, Hillary Clinton is working on her presidential bid. Everybody knows who Barack Obama is. But in terms of the backgrounds, and more importantly, news clips that pretty much we all saw, to learn about what was happening in the background to motivate some of those things that were said is utterly fantastic. The other thing I really like about it was I have a lot of friends in Vancouver, especially when I was working service jobs, who were in Vancouver sort of on working holiday visas. English was their second language, and very commonly a lot of them would say that they wanted to get a bit better at their English. And so I've often put a lot of thought in terms of, how did I get to a point where, people will say that I have an ability to write, and sometimes an ability to speak. And so I've usually been quite conscious about how I got to where I am, and a lot that I tend to think about is, number one, I did a lot of writing, so obviously practice will make you pretty competent at most things. But another trait which, at the risk of being immodest and just singing my own praises, whenever there's a word that I catch in a book that I don't know, my first instinct is to go to the dictionary. This is actually why I really like reading on an iPad, because you just double tap the word and you can look it up, which is fantastic. So the thing that I really like about Game Change is that, like I said, it's a really breezy read. Like, I thought I was getting a bit slower in terms of my ability to read material, and I think it was just I was reading more difficult material. Like, economics textbooks are not the kind of thing that you go and you take to the bathroom with you or something like that. Game Change to me is like a very accessible. It's a very nice, fun read. Obviously, I think you need to be a little bit keyed into political considerations, but I mean, if you like watching me play Crusader Kings 2, the kinds of scheming in the background is not unlike what you see in Game Change. So I don't think people need to be like policy wonks to like it. What I particularly like about Game Change is that the vocabulary of the authors is such that they will use terms that probably don't come into common conversation unless you're talking with me. And I found, so the nice thing is that it's perfectly readable on its own, but because it has the odd, very appropriately placed, but definitely a bit of an uncommon word, I think it's a wonderful example of one of these books where if you want to get a little bit better at writing or you want to expand your vocabulary, it's one that in addition to entertaining yourself, it actually provides you a little bit of reach so that you can go and you can arm yourself with more ammunition in the form of words. So it really hits all of the it ticks all of the right boxes to me for the kinds of reading that I like to do. So again, it's an older game. They actually have a follow-up which I signed out of the library called Double Down, which is about the 2012 election. But Game Change is the one I'm reading right now. I'm halfway through, and it's really gripping stuff. So I wanted to talk about that. That is partially responsible for why I'm a bit late today, because I went outside and enjoyed Victoria Day, the nice sunshine, and got a little bit of reading in. But I am now committed to you all on Sunless Sea. And I'm sorry, Akadak, I did read your message, but I really wanted to talk about Game Change. So Dota 2 community can definitely coin flip. I know I saw a couple of new faces that seem pleasant and knowledgeable about Dota 2. I agree completely. I really like the fact that people weren't just watching because, System Shock's just doing his new thing, and, as long as he talks enough, it doesn't really matter what he's playing. Not that I think people actually do that, but, just I can sometimes bank a little bit on people who will watch sort of independent of what the particular title is. And I'm very grateful for them for that matter. But I really liked the fact that there were people who were able to engage with the material, and more importantly, when I was saying something that was incorrect or something that needed correction, that they were willing to give that. Because I think one of the dangers that I could potentially run into is, if I spout too many opinions that go unchallenged, especially if they're wrong, I become just as bad as the sort of thing that I'm trying to avoid, which is just kind of giving out this received wisdom of how to play Dota 2 that kind of goes unexamined. Okay, so I know I went through a lot of the tutorial stuff in the first time that I broadcast this. It has been a while, so I even though I know a little bit about how to do the game, what I'd like to do is come back to it with a fresh set of eyes. I have a couple of games that I have on the roster that I would like to play, but I think what I'm going to try and do, barring, some kind of disaster or something like that, I'm going to try and make it a dedicated Sunless Sea stream tonight. But what I am going to do, because I wanted to scramble to make sure that everything was ready, I am not going to take a break, but I am going to get up. I'm going to get myself some water. I think I'm always a little 50-50 on drinking on stream, but I think I will also get myself a glass of cheap whiskey, because it was a very nice day today, and I feel like the captain needs to have a strong beverage to navigate the horrors of the Sunless Sea. So I will see you good people in a quick minute. Sorry to do this to you, but I know because I plan on talking a lot on this stream, it's going to be very nice to have a glass of water, and hopefully my commentary becomes a little bit more interesting depending on the contents of the glass. See you guys in a sec. Yeah, I mean, obviously, any game that I'm going to enjoy an adult beverage with is going to be Sunless Sea. So, Captain's Making. 3 decades ago, in the reign of Victoria, London was stolen by bats. It now lies a mile below the surface. It was a dreadfully inconvenient. Sorry, it was dreadfully inconvenient for everyone, but it opened a vast black ocean to you. Welcome to the Undersea. Choose a past. Decide who you were and what you want to be. You now lodge in a room above the blind helmsman. Who were you? Now you are a captain. Now you belong to the Undersea. But who were you before? A street urchin. Your urchin gang cast you out when you grew too tall. You took to the sea rather than graduate to larger crimes. That last big score was enough to buy you a ship. This will give you a bonus to Veils, the skill of subtlety and evasion. A poet, educated and articulate, you seek sensation at sea. How lucky you had a legacy to spend. Your long-vanished father had a rich patron, it seems. This will give you bonus to Pages, the skill of trickery and knowledge. Veteran of the campaign of 68. You fought in the invasion of Hell. London's armies lost. You survived. Your loot and your pension have bought you a command. This will give you a bonus to Iron, the skill of causing direct damage. An ordained priest. You fell from grace, and there's nothing left ashore for you. An anonymous benefactor has found a way out for you. Perhaps at Z you can overcome your appetites. This will give you a bonus to Hearts, the skill of healing and morale. And finally, a natural philosopher. Your peculiar theories on time, blood, and starlight brought you down to the Neath, the cavern where London lies, and now they take you out to Z. This will give you a bonus to Mirrors, the skill of detection and perception. So, one point I'd make out, I'm a little interested here in terms of, I'm still trying to fit, so obviously you have terms like under Z and Z-bats and things like that. I'm really curious as to, you took to see whether or not that is a mistake, or whether or not the dialogue in the game makes a distinction between the phrase you took to see, as in this is an action that you took, this is something that you did, as opposed to referring to the place, which is itself the Z. So, going out to sea is I became a captain, whereas where am I a captain on? I am a captain on the Z. I suspect, from what I understand, this story kind of just unravels itself as you go through. So, Blood, how's it going? Good to see you again. So, I think what I'll do, I've noticed, the way that I normally did Sunless Sea was I would let everybody sort of pick the names and things like that. What I'm going to do for my first captain, I'm going to make my decisions for the first time around, and then I think I'm going to open it up to chat for the subsequent captains, because what I've done, I've basically always had one captain in each round of Sunless Sea that I've played, and I just reset the game afterwards. And of course, the nice thing about this one is the idea of inheritance, so I'm going to screw up the first time, and then I'm going to let chat screw me for the remaining times. With that in mind, I'm going to be a veteran of the campaign of 68. You fought in the invasion of... Oh, sorry, I already got that. So, stern and exacting. They will not trifle with you. You promised a job to your acquaintance, the shady cook. He'll do until you find someone less disgusting. Talk to him and find out why he went to sea. I've gained 25 iron, 1 new shady cook, 20 echo. I was a weary soldier, now I'm a Z captain. And my a stranger quality has gone. Welcome to the world. That's what I said, Blood. All right, what does winning mean to me? My father's bones. Your father was lost Z, you never knew him, but you've often dreamed of him. Find and return his remains to London for a decent burial. Fulfillment. Gather 100 tales, learn all you can of the Z, write a masterpiece, and retire. Wealth, you know what it is to be poor, and now you want a mansion, servants, fine clothes, a family perhaps. And then the locked option, a private kingdom, establish a colony where you are an absolute ruler, a utopia perhaps. Perhaps. You can't choose this now, but you may find an opportunity to switch to it later in the game. I'm debating between wealth and fulfillment. As cool as your father's bones is. let's go for fulfillment. He's seen the horrors of war, and he's decided to document it. He's the Thucydides of the Undersea. Whenever you return to Fallen London, you have the option of retiring, but you'll need to write your masterwork first. Incidentally, I played one game of this, so again, one of the reasons I really want to do this, I have played a couple of games of this. Nothing too dramatic happened, but again, because it was effectively a gift from the viewers, I wanted to make sure that I actually did some more of this on stream so I could share it. But I did one where I had the option. I actually went to the surface for retirement. I don't think I'd completed my objective, but basically it pushed, like, the action of it also pushed my health or whatever down to the edge, so I wasn't quite sure how the game would resolve it. It turns out that the game resolved the quote-unquote damage to me first, and so I wound up losing the game where retirement should have done. I don't even know what retirement did, because I basically said I was on dry land, but apparently I drowned, so I won't question it. Captain, an irregularity with the Harbour Master's office. They wish to know, what term of address do you prefer ashore? You will determine what people call you Captain, but your captain's gender is up to you. Madam, more Z captains choose this than you might expect. Sir. Citizen, a term of address popular amongst those of egalitarian sentiments. My lord, perhaps you really do come from a noble family. Who's to know? M'lady. Perhaps you really do come from a noble family. Who's to know? I tripped and fell in a puddle. Yeah, sounds about my level of competence in playing games like this. I think Krunkalunka, if he's around, got to see me play FTL, where I was thoroughly screwed. And Captain will do perfectly well ashore as well at sea. Thank you. Kite260, good to see you again. I got to see your Hammer Squad shirt today. Looking good. Great to see you again. Hope you're doing well. I would, by the way, wish a lot of you happy Victoria Day, but I believe the majority of you are members of the former colonies, and as a result, you relinquished your right to celebrate Victoria Day some time ago during that little spat, what is known as the American Revolution. So the loss is entirely yours, I'm afraid. Last piece of advice. Explore. Take chances. This captain will probably die. The Z is hungry, but each captain passes on lessons to the next. All right, what does our veteran captain look like? Probably shouldn't have a top hat. That might work for me. I also like the turban. We'll make him standard captain material. And who should I name him? Lipsy. That's okay. He still celebrated it by working for someone else. It's mostly the same thing. Well played, Akadak. Yeah, I probably am not doing myself any favors as a streamer by calling the largest demographic on Twitch former colonists. I am still a current. Blood. I'm keeping the names and the decisions for myself this first playthrough, and for subsequent captains, I will be taking chat's suggestions. So. Lipsy is just an idea in terms of my setup. I'm really liking sort of the setup as it's grown because I won a keyboard in a Dota 2 event, but I don't actually have a proper mouse pad. So what I'm using right now is the first macroeconomics textbook I ever got, which is by the co-authors Reagan and Lipsy. Richard Lipsy is actually in Vancouver. And is a fairly significant figure if you follow these kinds of things. So in this case here, because I'm using this venerated textbook as a mouse pad, I thought I would at least do do Professor Richard Lipsey some service by immortalizing him in a doomed sea captain. Fallen London, deep, dark, and marvelous. All voyages start here, and this is where successful voyages end. We'll go to my lodgings. Here you may catch up on your correspondence, rest, or retire altogether from seafaring life. The better your lodgings, the better quality of your retirement, naturally. Read the morning papers. The Unexpurgated Gazette, the magazine formerly known as London Magazine, the Spiteful Trumpeter, news. News from home. The Echo Bazaar, that enigmatic marketplace, has increased its tax on love stories. The Traitor Empress has forbidden singing in the street outside her palace. The anarchists of the Calendar Council have inexplicably dynamited the drinking fountain. The Ministry of Public Decency has located and destroyed a nest of gallbladder wasps. I have one recent news. And we will go back to the rest of the city. We'll start by visiting the Admiralty Survey Office. They will pay for information from Z captains. Find out what and how. The Admiralty's picket fleets and intelligence networks are long gone. The Survey Office pays Z captains a small sum for recent information. Ask if there's anything in particular that they need. Well, if we can be assured of your discretion. This port. Speak to our agent there and return. We'll see that you're rewarded. Visit the port below and return to London. You can check the details in your journal at any time. Retrieve strategic information from the Iron and Misery Company funging station, somewhere not far from home waters. Of course, not far is relative. I don't actually know where that is. Ask to speak to higher authority. Do you have an appointment? Not as such. Once you've proven yourself, perhaps. Survey 3 ports and return to win the Admiralty's approval. Leave the Admiralty. Out into the foggy street. Turn your collar up. So, no option to visit the university. Can't carouse the Wolf Stack docks. I could hire more crew at the expense of Echo. Could put my ship in dry dock for absolutely no reason. Or I could offer passage to a tomb colonist. An immigrant will pay to be taken north to Vanderbilt. It's oddly difficult to die in fallen London, but when a Londoner is too tatty and wretched to live, they wrap themselves in bandages and take ship for the tomb colonies. Your crew cart these ones aboard in padded coffins. They'll sleep there until the journey is done. The tomb colonist is in your hold. Take them north to the colony of Vanderbilt and sell them there. So, I kind of take on these two missions because at least for Vanderbilt, it sort of tells me exactly where it is. Whereas the other areas, I have no idea. I'll just get that through ordinary exploration. Tutorial, your journal. Objectives and story progress are on the right-hand side. Mouse over an icon to click the category revealing the details. So these are all just repeating. Oh, here we go. So this is just saying find the Iron and Misery Company, which is somewhere in Vanderbilt, which is north. And apparently I'm almost safe, but I have no idea what that means. Your officers, left-click and drag to assign officers, or right-click to speak to them. Assigned officers give ability bonuses. So right now he is giving me bonus hearts. Shady Cook. He can render the supplies edible, if not palatable. Hearts +1. Right-click to speak to the officer. What you want? He might say more, but a coughing fit takes him. Eventually he straightens up and wipes his mouth, slowly with his forearm. Shady Cook is not the most hygienic of officers, but he'll do until you find someone better. Ask him what he wants from life. Why did the Shady Cook go to Z? Fur. He looks you directly in the eyes. Sioli. He repeats it, more slowly. Sea of lilies. He licks his lips very slowly. Eventually you have to look away. The Sea of Lilies is somewhere in the east-central undersea. Shops. Here you can buy fuel, supplies, ship equipment, and trade goods. Shops are displayed on the left. Click 1 to see its wares. I do not believe I have enough money to buy anything, which is probably just as well. Okay, well, apparently I can buy weapons. I'm kind of curious what ships cost. I love this description. So the Stymphalos class steam launch. Possibly there's a reason you might want to get set to sea in a boat the size of a dining room table. Possibly. We are currently using the Iscariot. This tramp steamer has served well, but for a long, long, long time. Although I'm very curious why it costs 1,000 echoes to get the exact same ship. Next one would cost 2,000, a cramped and fragile, but remarkably nippy. For the lamp lad, the best one we can get is 29,000, so I have no idea how we wind up getting a dreadnought in this game. Tiny boat, best boat. I didn't survive the invasion of hell to go to sea in a tiny boat. Sorry, to Z in a tiny boat. All right, let's read our advice for captains. It's not the size of the ship, it's the motion of the ocean. The much lamented Monsieur de Meaux found a watery grave long, long ago. Probably your end will be no better, but if you read this book of invaluable advice, your chances will improve. On endings and beginnings, captains often die. This is not the end. When you die, you'll learn lessons with which to help survive your next time. Beware, the layout of the undersea changes with each new captain, but home waters are stable, and islands will only move so far. Legacies. Future captains can inherit some skills, officers' equipment, and money. Over time, you'll find extra items and advantages that allow you to preserve a greater inheritance. On exploration. Exploration is the heart of the game. Risk brings reward. Staying close to London is safe, but eventually you'll run out of fuel and supplies. Exploring and playing port stories will allow you to find secrets and echoes. Speak to your officers to spend secrets on improving your abilities. Spend echoes on equipment and ports. You can often find officers in London. On mercy. Unforgiving mode is how the game is meant to be played. One autosave, updated whenever you reach port, and wiped on death. If you are getting frustrated or want a more leisurely exploration, you can switch to merciful mode. Saving or loading manually will permanently switch your character into merciful mode. This will remove the Invictus token. Completing the game with the Invictus token intact is a badge of honor. We are never going to merciful mode. On machines. Your prayer lamp dispels darkness, reduces terror increase, allows you to find Z-marks. Your engines, of course, drive the ship forward into the night. Both your prow lamp and your engines use fuel. More powerful engines use more fuel, but lamps use fuel at the same rate. Try not to run out of fuel. Note that the Admiralty will compensate you with fuel for port reports. So I actually didn't know that the lamp cost me fuel. I'll be sure to turn that off a little bit more often. On finding places to explore. Use a Z-Bat Scout. Technically it's a chiropter scope, but we're among friends here. Press Z, or click the Z-Back button. Yes, that's the Canadian pronunciation. Click the Z-Back button at the bottom of the screen. It'll tell you where the nearest undiscovered island is. Be warned, if you are moving, it will give less accurate directions. Pause to get the most accurate reading. By the way, I will justify my use of the term Z because, of course, we are in fallen London, in which we use the Queen's English. On fighting. When your enemy is in the arc of your guns, you'll see a firing solution. The glow around the fire buttons increase. When it's complete, let them have it. You can fire earlier if you like, but you may miss. Larger ships may have access to different gun slots. Avoiding enemy attacks. A green glow means your enemy is in the light. Enemy ships also have an arc with their guns. Try to stay out of their way. Enemy Z-beasts will generally try to ram or bite you, and then they'll submerge between times to avoid your attacks. If you're careful and turn your lights off, you may also be able to sneak up behind them and get a shot in first. By the way, one thing I was meaning to do before I did Sunless Sea was to read some more Joseph Conrad. Speaking of which, there's a really nice Joseph Conrad quote at the beginning of this game, which I noticed is missing. I was going to read some more Joseph Conrad and Herman Melville before I came in, so I could give very appropriate quotes. But hopefully the story of this, I'm told the stories for this game is actually really good, so hopefully that will carry us through because I didn't do my homework. Were you supposed to be angry about me saying Zed as Zed? You live in the South and you say Zed. Okay, that's fine. I actually don't, Blood, I honestly don't know other people's pronunciation of Z and Zed. I had been told that the American way of pronouncing it would be Z. I was raised with Zed, so I carry it with me. I frankly could care less how people say words as long as I understand what they're saying, but I was just going to dig in my heels because we're playing a distinctly British game today. On stories. When you put into port, you can generally explore and exhaust the story options until your next visit. Something awaits you. If you have the something awaits you quality when at Z, you know that more story is waiting for you when you make it to port. It'll crop up whenever you're sailing around. If you see a flavor message like distant bells, that means you have something awaits. On terror. Terror increases gradually over time while you're out at Z away from land. Watch the skull. When you see orange or red pips, terror will bump up and if you spend much longer in the frightening place. Many events will increase it too. How do I reduce it? Use shore leave in London or in other ports, but London is the most cost-effective to reduce it. Lots and lots of other stories increase or reduce terror. On new stories. We'll add new stories to the game from time to time. You can download them from the main menu. Registering on Fallen London. You need to register an account with our system to download stories. Coincidentally, this also gives you a login to our odd, rich cult browser game at www.fallenlondon.com. You should definitely give it a try if you like the world of Sunless Sea, but it's 100% optional. Wonderful, Blood. Welcome to the fold. Sell this book. You're a veteran captain and require no more advice? Very well, then. Sold. Someone else will better appreciate Monsieur Dumeau's work. You no longer have any of this advice for captains, and I've gained 50 echo. Now, the only question I have, I can't actually remember how I'm supposed to change the light. It tells me with mouse. So for any aspiring game developers inside, I was complaining a little while ago, and I think with justification, that a few developers are skimping on things like tutorials because there are now large and active gaming communities which will tend to make up those things. This is a wonderful feature of any game. If you mouse over something, it will tell you clearly how to do it in a hotkey. Most games seem to get this right, not all of them. But this is wonderful. I said, hey, I don't actually know how to toggle my lights. And before I finished that sentence, I saw exactly what I needed to know. It's a small point, but it's something that matters, especially when you're playing new games. Let us launch. Use the WASD keys to move, tap W twice to reach max speed, tap S to slow down or reverse, use A and D keys to steer. So we've got Z-bats, lights, which I will disable now. Can repair, which I don't have any need for. Full power to the engines, which they said was a double tap, but apparently I can use F as well. Pause a space, gazetteer. More of the same. Chart. Oh, and I obviously don't want to do the yeah, it's a light bulb, but I mean more important, so I was thinking that I would push the button, to activate and deactivate my lights, but the fact that they included the hotkey on a mouse over matters. Obviously having meaningful symbols is, that is just good design on its own, but the fact that they said, even though it's very obvious what this thing is, to include a keyboard hotkey, which is my preferred way of doing things, I like it. And again, most games do it, but not all. Most icons have keyboard shortcuts, mouse over to see them. Terror. When you see green running lights on the ship, you're in the dark, and when your cruise terror will increase. Watch the pips on the terror indicator. It increases faster when you're far from land. Don't let it reach 100. The Hungry Dead. Your cook is outraged. One of the tomb colonists has woken from his confined rest and has found his way into the stores. When the cook came across him, he had consumed a half-wheel of cheese and an alarming quality of suet. I can fling the villain overboard and he can walk home, or I can return him to the hold. He will stay put this time, but I suspect that means I'm going to lose some food. Yeah. Expostulating all the way. If you'd provided me with more commodious quarters, if this ship did not pitch so abominably, a man grows bored, you know. Death is deathly dull. And so on and so forth. It's a relief when the coffin lid closes. If only you could nail it shut. You've lost 1 supply for a total of 4. So we're off to a good start. I won't make the crew eat each other yet. November 30th, 1887, discovered Hunter's Keep. Pause. Circle of Light is a port. Go there for stories. Yikes. I need to go back. After a short time at Z, the lamp icon will appear above the logbook. It means that opportunities await you at the next port. We eat the cook first. I'll avoid eating the non-hygienic cook. I think I'll skip devouring, or sorry, I'll skip the port for now. Dust echoes even a sepia tint to the air. These are the waters around the tomb colonies. So I think I'll just double back and go to that port on my way home to London. Receive fragments when you discover new places. Acquire enough of them and you'll gain a secret. You can use secrets to improve your captain's skills by talking to officers or for some key stories. Discovered Hordman Stag. So, I don't know if there's any benefit to me saying the points that I've discovered, but right now I'm just trying to find Vanderblight. To visit a port, click the dock button. The trouble with tomb colonists. You've brought this decaying emigrant north. Now what? One last fight. Your passenger has been drinking. Ahoy, she chortles. Defend yourself. She launches a tipsy assault. Your crew hang back, chuckling. Thanks, crew. Straightforward challenge. An effortless defense. Tomb colonists have a lifetime of bitter experience. Some of them are the deadliest combatants under the earth. Possibly this one is when she hasn't drunk quite so much rum. You'll never know. She salutes you laughing as you disarm her. Good fight, she opines, then staggers backwards as she falls over the side. You never do find out what happened to her, but at least you have a rather magnificent cavalry saber and her belongings. You've gained 1 new iron. You've lost 1 tomb colonist. You've gained 2 supplies, so we're back to 5. 1 that we consumed and 1 that was consumed by the tomb colonist. You succeeded in iron challenge. The higher the quality, the higher the chance of success. So when I talk about iron, it's not a commodity. It's just simply a measure of the ability on the ship. Iron is my strongest ability, which is my ability to shoot stuff at the moment. Where's all the rum gone? You brought tomb colonists to Vanderblight and defeated them in an unexpected duel, and I now have 1 outlandish artifact, which I have no idea what that does. This belongs in a museum, assuming the colonial imperial appropriation for the purpose of hegemonic taxonomization is a suitable response to the problem of intercultural contact, which it probably is because museums are magnificent institutions. If you've made an ironclad will, you can convert a collection of these into an heirloom for your successor. Few die in fallen London. They come here instead, the tomb colony of Vanderblight. On deck, you can hear the sound of 1,000 bandaged dead as they shuffle and cough. It's something like the world's most restless concert audience, or the world's most plague-ridden cathedral. Explore Vanderblight. Here they favor candlelight over gaslight. The shadows are swagged like cobwebs. The tomb colonists stand still enough to be mistaken for a sculpture until they laugh or cough. One building in there seems abandoned. Orthodox technology. Sweeter scents draw you into a shop which sells candles, lilac, lavender, honey. You fall into a discussion of their manufacture with the shopkeeper. Yes, she says, proudly displaying her missing arm. We render ourselves to good end. Oh, don't look like that. Our fats are of finer quality than any other, and we grow tired of our bodies down here. You've gained 10 fragments. That's all for now. You have 1 tale of terror, and I have 1 new terror level. Visit the first curator. Z Captains. The first curator gives audience. The first curator is responsible for the preservation of the tomb colonies. It has been much longer than it has been here much longer than London, like the oldest tomb colonists. But even tomb colonists dissolve in the end. The time is close. No more light, the obsequious steward cautions you. The curator is terribly afraid of moths. He opens the door and you step into near darkness. A pair of luminous lamplighter bees buzz in the latticed ivory tube. There is no other source of light. A bandaged shape, no larger than a child, lies crumpled on a couch. It lifts its head with obvious effort. It takes several seconds for you to distinguish its voice from the soft buzz of bees. Listen to the whispered request. Z Captain, Silkskin, not much left of me. I will go into the Grand Sanatorium. Bring me colors. 7 colors. Pay. Well. 7 colors? Cosmogon, Irigo, Pelgin. Stewart has list. Find them here and there, across the wide black Z. Ask about the Grand Sanatorium. One hears the name whispered here and there in the arcades of Vanderblight. A long, low chuckling. Oh, Silkskin, you don't want to know. The chuckling becomes a cough. We don't die here below. Not unless we go to Z. So we needed something else. Somewhere to end. So basically, when this guy goes to the Grand Sanatorium, I'm assuming this game transfers into Dark Souls. We will accept the commission. No more words. It collapses, rustling back onto the couch. Even the effort of speaking seems to have diminished it a little. The audience is over. As the door opens, it shrinks from the finger of light that reaches across the floor. Outside, the obsequious steward nods. The book? Yes, the book. He hands you a slim illustrated volume. The curator is old as dust. We'll all be grateful if you do it this one last favor. And we now have a page from the Neathbow, Pelgin, Irigo. These are basically just all the colors that I think he was talking about. So Irigo, Viric, Violent, Apossian, Gant, Cosmogone, and the Neathbow is the book, I'm guessing. Gather gossip. Who is plotting what out in the tomb colonies? Along the coast of the Undersea, it's remarkably hard to die. The decrepit and nearly dead who leave London become tomb colonists, settle here in a bandaged peace. But they don't give up their ties to home, or their politics. You gather a haul of complex clues, enough to keep your contacts in London interested. So I've got a port report for Vanderblight. And there's nothing else for me to do, so I need to replace 12 supplies with... so I can do last tour operator, Ho Captain. I have 1 dozen sand bandaged souls here. They're choosing their final fate. Will you take them on one last diversionary tour? It may be a longish trip. Make sure you have enough supplies. And apparently need 12 supplies to actually undertake this, which seems costly. Yeah, they're playing Dark Souls as the Deprived, nothing but a small wall of meat. So I don't actually want to buy... Yeah, so it costs 30 for supplies anyway, so if I were to... I might be able to buy up to 12. Oh no, I can't, because I need 7. Yeah, so that's not even an option for me. So I guess the appropriate thing to do is... I don't like wasting so much just to explore this part of the map, but I'll head south and then I'll go back to Hunter's Keep so I can get another port report in. I can't remember exactly what it said about green lights and terror. Obviously, it's going up a little bit. And if I hit my light... Okay, it's going back down, so... Or not going back down, but it's calming a little bit, so... Discovered Davis Bay and fed the crew. Discovered Prickfinger Wastes, 50 fragments gained. Yeah, so I gathered that green light was okay, but it was saying something about like green on my boat. Far off, very far off, someone screams. So I wasn't sure if they're talking about these green lights. Discovered Low Barnet. Home waters, sailors dawdle on the rail, watching for the lights of London. Have I really made it back to London already? As much as I want to keep the light off, I don't like seeing those red pips. So the game sort of suggested that there would be a place for me to... Look. December 4th, the air trembles, a breath of change passes. Oh, there's the... As I almost crash into an island, there's the port that I was talking about. So ideally I'll get to a third one before I head back to London, just so I can get a bit more from the Admiralty's office. Green or red lights on your boat means your terror is going up. Okay. A quiet isle, a grand old house, Hunter's Keep. A hump of dark rock swathed in mist, like 100 of other undersea islands. But there's a grand house, windows aglow, lawns impossibly green and lush in the false starlight, raked graveled paths. You stand on the dock as the sea nudges the ship's sides. An unexpectedly warm breeze carries the faintest trace of lavender. Present yourself at the house. They will have heard your ship come in. Why hide? Actually, I've got a few options here. Yeah, we'll just present ourselves. Knock and enter. A maid with smoldering topaz eyes shows you into the parlor where 3 young women wait. A visitor, the youngest one cries. The next youngest chuckles. The eldest sighs. Do excuse the indecorum, she says. Visitors are rare, and you are very welcome. I am Cynthia. The noisy one is Phoebe. The cheerful one is Lucy. You're in good time for lunch. Will you join us? A tidy breeze stirs your hair and dies. You are acquainted with the sisters of Hunter's Keep. So I can lunch with Cynthia, Lucy, or Phoebe. Melancholy and pensive, occasionally dramatic, sunny, restless, and prone to giggles, and Phoebe's soft voice watchful and unpredictable. Let's talk with Phoebe. Phoebe's story. Phoebe has a story to tell, of two lovers parted by water, of a raven that carried messages, of a fragment of the moon. She beats time on the table as she speaks, as if to a song only she can hear. The effect is hypnotic. Your attention drifts, out through the skylight of the dining room, up to the false stars glittering on the roof of the cavern. You drift like a puffball spore. The undersea shimmers below. Islands lie like mineral specimens on black velvet. Ships bob like wood chips between the islands. Vast spined things pulse the depths. There's a scent like the scent before a storm. The storm came, says Phoebe quietly. Everything changed. Somewhere in there, you finish the last course. The scowling maid reluctantly serves cheese and Bath Oliver biscuits. I've lost 5 terror. New total is 4. Wary. You've lost 40 hunger. New total 0. An occurrence. The gods of the Z storm's attention quality is now exclamation mark. An ancient anger knows you. Fragment remains unchanged at 50. You now have 1 memory of distant shores. At the university and in the tomb colonies, they pay well for stories of far lands. That's all for now. I've gained 1 supply, and I am acquainted with the Sisters of Hunter's Keep. I'm sure at some point I will know these, what any of this means. Let's reconnoiter the island. Plunging cliffs, soft green lawns, a well tucked away in the fold of the grounds. Anything else? Sea's silence. Ships rarely come here. Nothing changes, even the weather. The house is the heart of the isle. The house and the sisters. But the Admiralty may be happy to know that nothing's changed, at least. You have a new port report for Hunter's Keep. And even when the sisters aren't feeling sociable, they can be tempted out of their lair by the smell of new stories. Knock and wait. You ask the sulphur-eyed maid to carry a few hints of your news to the sisters. Oddly enough, she comes back with a message that their headaches are cured and you are invited to lunch. You no longer have any recent news. The electric shiver in the air. Storm is watching, as the sailors would say. So let's try Lucy this time. A daft tale. Lucy leans over and whispers to you confidentially. A complex story about a butler, a pig, and an inheritance. You don't follow the details of the plot, but somehow the pig ends up in an attic and the butler in the vicar's bed. Candles flicker, dishes enter and leave, and the wind butts gently at the window panes. By the time the plum pudding arrives, you're as cheerful as you've been in months. Gain a supply. We still have the same number of memories of distant shores. We have X, the gods of the Z, stone's attention. Still don't know what that means. That's all for now. Lost 4 terrors, so we're serene, and we are acquainted with the Sisters of Hunter's Keep. So we will leave Hunter's Keep and try and find one more port. I think what we'll try and do here is just go south. Nope. Don't think there's anything we can do about the terror meat. Oh, maybe we can. I'm still not 100% about how this terror meter is working, to be completely honest, but... So I've already used my news. I think this one really just wants... The only thing that I can get from the light ship is to give them news, but let's just take a look and see what happens. It's clear bright beam warms the way. Yeah, and I definitely don't want to purchase fuel from them, so... No reports or anything. Combat. You've encountered an opponent. The red arc shows the range of your duck gun. Keep the enemy in range while your crew works out a firing solution. This will happen faster if you keep the enemy in your prow light. The deck gun will be highlighted as your crew makes progress towards a firing solution. Press space or close the tutorial to continue. It sees me. Probably could have handled that better, but I don't think we lost any crew. Congratulations, you defeated your opponent, moved to the site of their demise to salvage something. Alright, with a forlorn and wailing cry, the Megalops turns on its back, legs neatly folded, as bluish blood gouts from its wounds. Its golden glow begins to dim. I can butcher it for supplies, which isn't necessarily bad because my hunger is moving up, or I can dissect it for knowledge. Now, I do have a 75% chance of success, so we're still ahead of what we had originally for supplies, so let's dissect it. Crab full of conundrums. You set to work with your knives and acids. It is undistinguished and adolescent specimen, a megalops of one of the deep-sea crab species, but its eyes, normally vestigial in those troglodytic beasts, are large and rather beautiful. The golden glow is almost gone now, although sparks leap now and then from your knife. I've gained one fragment. I've succeeded in a page's challenge, and the higher the quality, the higher the chance of success. See if I can do repair. Cool. Yikes! I did not see that land. Oh god, okay. Let's just do that repair again. Although I think I wound up spending much more than I needed to in supplies. I think I'll just turn on the light. Okay. So I definitely need to think about heading home because I've only got 3... I've only got 3 supplies left, but I should have enough to get back to London, so... Fires on the hillside, Quaker's Heaven. Once the simple fishing village was part of London suburbs before London fell and the waters rushed in. Once the simple fishing village was part of the London Oh, sorry, I just read that. Smoke spirals from the cottage chimneys. The lowly hill rises behind town. So, we can get drinks at the Cock and Magpie. There's only one public house on the island. The Cock and the Magpie is famed for its local cider and, of course, the Z-food. Now, I think this is just going to reduce my terror, which I'm not really in need. Pick up a wretched mog, Mrow, yellow-eyed, mangy, plebeian, piebald thing winds around your ankles and a manticle chain. You've never seen a cat's mouth open that wide. Presumably it's hungry. This is a mascot, one variety of officer. But don't I already have a mascot? Gives me extra hearts. Not really sure I want to give up supplies for the wretched Mog. Start by exploring the shore. Wander a little way along the shore. Take a stroll along the beach. Perhaps the Z has brought you something. Driftwood, a smooth dark surface, something glinting, just bottle glass, a nasty glob of goo. It lies on a shingle like a discarded heart, or the remnants of a shipwreck. What's washed up here? Boxes of biscuits. Murgatroyd's funeral crackers, an awful lot of them. One must hope that you enjoy fungal crackers or have an extremely hungry parrot. Gain 2 supplies for a new total of 5, so we've kind of balanced out from our past indiscretions. Chat to the fishermen. They sail the Z around the island. They mend their nets by the harbor. They see all that happens here, but you'll need coin to open their mouths. Yeah, let's do it. Little ships and little secrets. Pirates playing the waves. Smugglers at their work. Carnate ships putting in to resupply. Nothing dramatic, but enough to interest the Admiralty. I've gained another port report, and I've lost 1 echo. So let's try the wretched Mog. Let's see. What's the smell? It jumps down from your arms and disappears into the darkness of the ship. An hour later, 5 brutally executed rats are found on the foredeck. Point your new mascot by dragging him from the officer's tab in a slot to the top of the screen. If you do this at sea rather than at port, this may affect crew morale. I've lost 3 supplies for that, and I've gained the Richard Mog. Let's hope it's worth it. Well, it does increase my iron, so... Renaissance Jack! Thank you very much for the host. And everybody from Renaissance Jack's channel. Thanks a lot for stopping by. This is our normal Monday night, which is sort of dedicated variety evening. Tonight we are playing Sunless Sea, which is a game which I believe CPO's Williams donation very kindly got for us. And because we played a little bit more, Dragonfall has been sadly neglected in terms of its quality. So I've been a little bit slow in getting started, and I've been crashing into things like islands, but it's an interesting game. It's a really interesting atmosphere, and we're looking forward to playing a full game of it. So I'm very happy that you're back, Jack. I hope you had... I'm assuming that you finished a stream tonight. I hope you had a good one. I think I'll hold off from... there's a side of me that kind of wants to see what happens if I go to the pub, but I'll avoid it. I'm so bad at pronouncing names. Oni Grikan. This is Sunless Sea. So this is what somebody has described this game to me as is a more story-driven FTL. So it takes place in sort of this fictional fallen London. For whatever reason, London has fallen into sort of this underground sea. You play the role of a sea captain, and basically right now we're just kind of trying to get by making a living. We have more money than when we started, but fewer supplies. We've been going to different ports, collecting information, and sort of doing what seem to be sort of the introductory kinds of missions to get you started off in a game like this. My primary goal as this character is to accumulate a number of stories and write a masterwork so he can retire. But there seem to be a few different traits that you can assign to your captain, and these will affect the kinds of outcomes that you're looking for. So one of them is to find your father's bones and lay them to a proper rest, whereas another one is to retire wealthy. Thank you, Oni. Yeah, I will admit I'm quite unfamiliar with this game, but I think, like I said, it's one that's gotten me quite interested. So I'm going to do here is I'm going to go kind of on a long way around. I'm not too worried about fuel, but I am worried about my supplies, as the game is informing me. Here, you're low on supplies. Once you run out, your crew will begin to starve. You can buy more in certain ports. Now, it's going to be cheaper if I buy these in London. So what I'm going to do here... Oop, looks like we've got another fight on our hands. Back up. Megalops defeated with a Toritorn and a wailing cry. The Megalops turns on its back, legs neatly folded as bluish blood gouts from its wounds, and its golden glow begins to dim. In this case, I'm going to say butcher it for supplies because we are desperately low on them. Your crew will feast. That glowing flesh is unstable. It crisps and withers as the glow fades, so eat it while it's fresh. You've lost 8 hunger, new total 0. So I had actually just fed my crew, which isn't that great. But it's good to know for now. I probably would have gone for knowledge if I knew what I did. But I suppose not the worst case to learn. We didn't get any damage done to the ship, so that's a bonus. And now basically I just need to go north to Fallen London, but I'm going to try and take a slightly indirect route to it. Electric shiver in the air. Storm is watching, as the Zailers would say. Okay. So I'm still not 100% clear on how the terror meter works, but I'm sort of taking advantage of the fact that I am close to... Oop. I think we can kill some more wildlife. What? I can't believe I missed that. Damn. This thing's really getting the better of me. There we go. We'll dissect it for knowledge. So that was just a terrible encounter. I thought I got the drop on it, but just wound up going in a bad spot. Oh well. Set to work with your knives and acids. It is an undistinguished and adolescent specimen, a megalops, of one of the deep-sea crab species, but its eyes, normally vestigial in these troglodytic beasts, are large and rather beautiful. The golden glow is almost gone now, although sparks leap now and then from your knife. We've gained another fragment, and we've succeeded in a page's challenge. So, not the best for damage on my ship, but at least we have something to show for it. I'm not going to do a repair just because that's going to involve giving up some supplies, which I'm going to need to reach London. But I don't think anybody's going to be starving. How long have I been streaming? That's a good question, actually. So I started... Okay, I just can't resist killing these things. So the exact date is a little bit beyond me. I need to double check when I did an extra life challenge, but it was probably sometime around November of last year. And then I took a couple of months where I was sort of doing it on and off. And then I'd say in the new year, kind of around January-ish, I was doing... Well, no, you know what? Probably it's earlier than January, but it's definitely been less than a year. And I've just been... now that I've gotten a little bit more involved with things like Team Panda, seriously, Clara's team, and then also doing some modding for her and things like that, I've sort of established a regular schedule that is also in line with my studies. So I would say I'm a fairly new streamer, Oni, if that isn't already apparent through the way that I sort of handle these games. You are blessed, Jack. Plaguely starts starving my crew. May Satan bless you with a soul. Bless your soul with his darkness, Jack. I'm a Twitch noob. I am very much a Twitch noob. All right, let's dissect this thing again. You haul it aboard and set to work with your knives and acids, and it flops unexpectedly to life. Sailors rush to your aid with guns and boarding pikes. By the time they're finished, you're unharmed, but there's not much left of the beast. You tip it reluctantly into the sea. Pages 25, failed in a challenge. Try again, and you may have better luck. So we got as much as... We got, not much out of it, but then we didn't lose too much anyway. Distant bells, which I think the game said was an indication that there is something waiting for us back in London. We definitely need to sort of resupply and refuel. I guess I can turn off the lights to save a little bit. Oh, we just went right by Fallen London. So one part I'm not 100% clear on is how I recover supplies. I don't quite know what the Admiralty is going to give me for all these port reports, but generally we kind of accomplished what we set out to do, which was to get the three port reports to get in good with the Admiralty. We delivered the colonists that we were looking to do. We didn't raise our terror meter too much, and we got a bit of exploration done. So overall, not a bad little run. Now, Jack, I know you just hosted me, so I apologize to do this, but I'm a little bit past my 1 hour mark, so I'm going to take my first break for the evening. It'll only be about 3 minutes just for me to get up and stretch and just generally make sure I don't spend the entire broadcast on my backside, because I already did quite a bit of that today. So I want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. Again, it seems to be some fairly healthy numbers in terms of people who've been coming out for these things, which is fantastic. Again, I always love having some people to interact with in chat. I'm going to ask a couple minutes of your patience and maybe encourage you guys to get up and do a small stretch yourself. I'll put up my break sign and we will be back to continue some more Sunless Sea in a couple minutes. So see you guys then. All right. Sorry, folks. I don't quite know how long that was, but I got mildly sidetracked. But we will be back for some Sunless Sea. So I'll give one thing I'll actually do just before I start doing any more of the story stuff. I'm, again, interested in the title, and given sort of the very light introduction that I had to it before, was I had to let the dog out. Well, I just got back myself, so I probably took longer than I had anticipated on that break, but I'm glad that you are all still here, and we will enjoy ourselves in some Fallen London. So, sort of my first impressions of this game after, a very light introduction to it on stream and playing it a little bit on my own time is it's a really interesting environment. I definitely get the feeling that the game is pretty heavy on its resource constraints for you, and I'm not quite sure how to best handle it. But then I think that's, in some ways, I think that's intentional. One thing I will say is I probably haven't experienced a whole lot of what there is sort of outside my immediate sphere of influence. So it could be that it wants to promote some greater risk taking, that you'll push yourself out further than what you might think your supplies would allow. Like every journey that I've made has always sort of accounted for the number of supplies that I currently possess, and that the game might try to reward you for pushing out further, maybe further than what you could conceivably get in supplied for a full return trip. So it's interesting. I'm still not quite 100% sure on how to accomplish my overall goal, but I think the game's giving me enough to sort of keep interested and sort of giving me some more minor goals, which I can try and accomplish as I try to build up these stories and write my masterpiece. So overall, I think it's a neat little title, and I'm really glad I started playing it. So, Oni, I'm assuming that's for Jack. There's no her to play with in this apartment. The lights of London welcome you home. The storylet only appears when you've been at sea for a little while. Collect messages from the harbour master. All the clatter and song of the dockside, it soothes the soul. Are there messages for you? Let's see. That's all for now. You have one of this, another day, a free evening. Something has changed in the Neath, and someone wants to sign on. Fallen London, deep, dark, and marvelous. All voyages start here, and this is where the successful voyages end. A little gift. A very fine evening to you, Captain. What you might call mentor. What you might call mentor is very fond of adventurous sea captains, and he would like to offer you what you might call a dispensation, on account of he is so fond of sea captains. Behind the blind bruiser on the dock stands a dray piled high with fuel and supplies. Who is this patron? Is there a catch? He runs a very fine and very liberal establishment just across the river, what is patronized by sailors and men of wit and vinegar, a public house, and there is no obligation to speak of. My patron would only hope that you might remember him kindly, and I suppose if the opportunity would arise for you to return his kindness, I do not imagine he would refuse an offer. Why not? Do make sure you have 15 points of space in the hold, or come back later. It would be embarrassing to have to leave it on the dock. Definitely have enough space. Being tired isn't being an old man. Being tired is being an active, and I'm sure Jack put his heart and his soul into his cast, and that is why he is tired. Well, my patron hopes that you find these little gifts to your liking, and he expects that someday you might choose to call on him in the Medusa's Head. Should that day come, we will make you very welcome and give you any safe conduct that you might require. Good evening to you. He salutes and he's gone. You accepted the proposal. You now have one suspicion from the Manses. I've gained 10 fuel and 5 supplies. All right, so I'll go to my lodgings. If nothing else, I'll read the morning papers. The Unexpurgated Gazette, the magazine formerly known as London Magazine, the Spiteful Trumpeter. News. The Echo Bazaar, that enigmatic masterpiece, has increased its tax on love stories. The Traitor Empress has forbidden singing in the streets outside her palace. The anarchists of the Calendar Council have inexplicably dynamited the drinking fountain, and the Ministry of Public Decency has located and destroyed a nest of gallbladder wasps. I have lost one terror from reading the exact same news that I did the first time. Fragments remain unchanged, and I now have more recent news. So I could rest in the room above the blind helmsman. Let's take a look. So reduce my terror, heals a wound which I don't have. I need 1,000 echoes to get an elegant townhouse. Let's go back to the rest of the city. Do you need a dog park close to you? No, I don't need one. But she can socialize with other dogs. I'm on an acre of land, Oni. That's a nice exchange. Let's go to the Admiralty Survey Office first. So they'll pay for information from Z captains, find out what and how. Hunter's Keep. I trust the sisters are keeping well. They're cities of her enduring majesty, notionally. Submitted. My visit to Hunter's Keep has been confirmed by the Admiralty Records Office. I've gained 1 fuel. I've gained a favor. And I no longer have the port report, but I do also have 5 more echoes. We'll do Quaker's Heaven. Been trying the original rubbery lamps, have we? It's been confirmed. We've got another favor, and lost the port report and another 5 echoes. So I suspect it'll be the same with Vanderblade as well. So additional fuel favors. Oh, 10 echo. And asked to speak to the dark speckled admiral. Do you have an appointment? No appointment, but apparently I'm to show you in anyway. Very well. You're ushered into his office You were ushered into his office off Mansion's Pyre, a cramped room with a vast desk. He surveys you across that desk. Ah, yes, the magnificent captain of whom we hear such complicated things. The admiral will purchase intelligence from you. Assistance with subsistence. Ask the Admiralty if they can provide a little fuel to cover your costs. It's currently locked. Because I need more Admiralty favor. Submit vital intelligence. So I need 2 pieces of strategic information, which I don't have. I don't think I have any more port reports. And moves in the Great Game. Relevatory chart. These all sound so interesting, and I can do nothing about them. And ask what he needs. Discover the Admiral's desires. Information. Visit a port. Will be interested in the port report. That visit places of particular interest and will be interested in the strategic information you gain thereby. We will pay you well, don't worry. We understand you can't be expected to act entirely out of love for the Empire. His lip curls. What's left of it. Alright, we'll return to the Wolfstack docks. So the nice thing is I don't really need to buy any more stuff. I might buy some more supplies, but the Admiral's room is dark and stuffy. You need Z-air. So if I... Oh, actually, let's visit the university first. The university has an inexhaustible appetite for secrets, Z-specimens, and other tidbits of esoteric lore. Provide a secret to prove yourself worthy of entry. Quite impressed. Oh, yes. The University Maritime's liaison whispers breathlessly. Oh, yes, she's got quite a tasty one. Let me explain it to you. He, explains, teeth glinting. Gained 1 pages, now total 26. Twist in your tail. You are now favors antiquarian. Sorry. Lost a secret. The alarming scholar is mercurial, to say the least. A creature of sudden moods and provoking teeth. Possibly her. Is it her? Appointment at the University Maritime Liaison was precautionary. To keep his... Is it his? Razor-sharp enthusiasm from causing too many injuries in the faculty. Ah, yes, the scholar whispers breathily. I have a budget for acquisitions. What have you brought me? So we'll give a memory of distant shores, a piquant piece of picturesque pilgrimage. Wells of emotion. As the alarming scholar listens, tears well in the depths of those shining, or is it blazing, eyes. They overflow, splashing on the deck blotter. Stop! She? Sobs. At last. It is too beautiful. Allow me to bring the macaw of memories. I wish each individual tone recalled. Favor's antiquarian is increasing. I've gained 10 echoes, and I've lost a memory of distant shores. An outlandish artifact shaped by hands unknown in London. A careful scrutiny. We have seen something like that. He declares, but not very like that. Interesting. I have some ideas about suitable fees. Favor's antiquarian has increased to 2. I've gained a fragment, 100 echo, and I have lost an outlandish artifact. So I will leave the university having dumped all of my goods. For 30 echo, I can bring on more crew, which will overall make me stronger, I think. So let's try that. Sensible sailors are looking for a safe run to the tomb colonies, or at least a sane run to the southern archipelago. You'll need to buy drinks, spread around hiring fees, look for daredevils. Rich pickings. Your tall tales find ready audience. Scarred and seasoned men and women tramp aboard to find places to sling hammocks. You've lost 1 terror. You've gained 2 new crew. Oh, so, sorry, this is different from officers. You've succeeded a hearts challenge, and I've lost 30 echo. But that's not necessarily bad that I've got a full crew, so. A new recruit. Who waits your attention? Someone wants to sign on. Engage an officer, the brisk campaigner. Hoy, you! You need a real physician, none of your surgeons. The brisk campaigner is a skilled doctor who increases hearts and iron. So it'll cost me 50 echo, which I can definitely afford. Welcome aboard. Don't you have anywhere cleaner? Well, if I must do it myself, where can I find a mop? I have no more recruits for the moment. I've lost 50 echo, which is fine because we're still ahead. And I have a new brisk campaigner. So let's start by appointing this surgeon. And actually, those are some pretty good stats overall. So 6 hearts, 3 iron, and doctor aboard. And let's talk to them because we got... So I can increase hearts. I think the same would happen if I talked to the shady cook, though. I think I'm going to avoid that for now. Not that it's bad to have extra hearts, but I'd kind of like to see what my other options are as far as improving stats. So let's go back to London. Carouse the Wolfston. Well, what's my terror at? 4? But it's only 10 echo, so... Let's see what happens. A strange night out. You wake in the back room of Gaston's lampery, head pounding. You had something to drink, but beyond that, it's a little hazy. Your knuckles are bloody. Your blood, you think. Your shirt is bloody likewise. Probably not yours, unless your blood is slick and greenish. You've had better nights out. A difficult brew, Gaston says, nomadically. I now have 1 recent news. I've lost another day, a free evening. I've lost 10 echo. You were unlucky, better luck next time, and I've lost 3 terror. So, I believe the game is telling me that that was not a good run. Oh, chat. So I guess now I sort of need to decide what I'm going to do with my money. Let's maybe start by looking at... Oh, hang on. Kind of want to take a look and see what supplies cost. 20. Oh, it's 20 for 5, though. I think I'll get that out of hand. Oh, man. Nope, that's 20 for 1. Lens currency is Echo. To earn money, explore the map, and bring back port reports and treasures. You can trade too, but exploration and stories are much more profitable. I think I'll hold off on these. I'm not quite sure how to handle trade. There's a side of me that thinks that it might be a good idea to purchase things that are close to the value of selling and then take them to other ports, but I don't actually have any reasoning for thinking that other than, it's a little less risky. Let's see what the Iron and Misery Company have. So another engine. Actually, this is one thing I should take a look at and see what I can equip. So a deck weapon, bridge, and auxiliary. But I don't actually know what any of these really do. So this would go on the bridge for an additional mirror, which... Well, I mean, a faster firing solution isn't the end of the world. So it says deck and forward weapon, but I don't quite know what a forward weapon's... Oh, I don't have a space for a forward weapon. That makes sense. You think Twitch is a great community? I found a lot of like-minded, weird people, but everyone is so darn far away. Went to college for a while, you worked a few jobs, you've not really clicked with anyone since you've gotten out. I'm not sure I understand. I mean, the one thing I can say... Normally, like after high school, I didn't go immediately to a university. I actually worked for a while, and certainly my primary source of kind of social interaction did come through my work. Although it's a very weird... I mean, to me, it's a very weird way to meet people, right? Because the only thing that you really have in common with people in a workplace is the fact that, you all have a particular skill that was in demand from this firm. At least in college, you can, where, I'm currently spending my time, at least there's people who in principle you have a little bit more in common with. But the opposite, actually, I've had the opposite experience of Twitch, which was I went to a Twitch meetup. Like the whole reason why I'm streaming a little bit more often is because there was actually a Vancouver Twitch meetup held at a restaurant, EXP Restaurant and Bar. And that's where I wound up meeting a streamer like Seriously Claire. And I've since met a few other local Vancouver streamers. And as a result, it's, through, I suppose people would call it networking. But in this case, it was just, kind of seeing what Twitch was about because I was thinking about doing some more broadcasts. And in this case here, the social element of it has been, one, very rewarding to speak to chat, but also to... to be able to meet these people in real life. Kite, have a great night. I'm sorry, it probably wasn't the most exciting stream for you this evening. I'm still finding my feet on Sunless Sea, but I hope you had fun, and we'll see you next time, and I hope I get a chance to catch one of your streams. If you were streaming today, I missed it, but we'll catch you next time. Hope you have a good one. So I don't have any weapons I can really buy. Forward isn't an option for me, and a deck weapon... I mean, I think I already have this one. Yeah, I have the Mark II. So what I'm going to do is take a small risk and buy up as many casks of mushroom wine as I can get. And the idea here is I'm going to sell them at the next port I run into. So in this case, I've spent 21 for each. Ideally, I'm going to sell these for more than 21. Oni, thank you very much for the follow. Normally, there's the sound. Thank you very much for hitting the following button. I know I spent a little bit too much time babbling tonight, but I really appreciate you showing that support. So I'm not 100% sure where I should be going. We are still looking for the, I guess it's Mercury and Iron Company or something like that. I think I'll just try going northeast and seeing if I can maybe find them there. It is sort of a shot in the dark in terms of finding this location, but I do have 6 supplies, so I'm just going to head out to sea and see what comes out. So definitely want to have that light on when I go into the fog, I think, so. So I already got the distant bells notification, so theoretically I could go back to London and have stuff happen, but that doesn't seem a very productive use of my time. I've already lost 1 supplies for feeding the crew, so we'll just push forward and see what we can get. Shepherd's Wash, the salty hinterland of London, home to hermits, nuns, and shadowy business. On the horizon, a sickly yellow light glimmers for a moment, then fades. Discovered Station 3, 50 fragments gathered. Discovered Depot A. Such descriptive names. We may infer Station 1 and we may infer a Station 1 and a Station 2. We may conjecture a Station 4. Station 3. Machinery hums behind the high steel walls. Up the hill, there are visible outlines of warehouses and a building with a spire, but all the lamps are low, and if they burn at all, and your ship is the only one in the harbor. Train your telescope on the shore. It might be best to get a look from a distance. You stand on the high point of your ship and look to the shore. There's a steepled building on the horizon, by far the largest thing in sight. No cross marks on top of it, nor any other symbol you recognize. So I have a port report from Station 3. Try the gate. The only way past the walls is unimposing, but sturdy looking. A gate of triple-barreled silvery metal. A sign beside it reads, Deliveries. No way in. The metal is hard, steel hard and icy cold to the touch. Attempts with chisels and crowbars fail. Perhaps if you could bring the ship's guns to bear. But no. Still need to figure out. I thought there was a do not disturb. Oh, off. There we go. Probably we'll deal with the emails. Again, thank you very much for the follow there, Oni. That was just an email that informed me of what Twitch Alerts was already kind enough to let me know. Search for signs of other visitors. Never hurts to know what you're up against. No evidence. You walk the quays looking for a little sign that might show what sort of ships dock here and what they deliver, but you find nothing conclusive. Not even so much as a smear of pitch or a damp footprint. If any ship but yours has been here in recent days, it left no evidence. That's all for now. Mirrors 25 failed in a challenge. Try again and you may have better luck. So, Jack, I wasn't quite clear on your comment. Does this mean that you currently have a job which involves a lot of plane travel, or the job that you're considering is one that involves a lot of plane travel? All right, there's nothing else that we can do at Station 3, so let's vamoose. Battle. Back, you fool, back. Damn it. There we go. I thought it was worth the risk just to avoid taking the damage, but we didn't need it, so. In this case, butchering it for supplies is not a bad idea because our hunger is very high. It'd be cool to get the extra knowledge, but in this case, I kind of want to get as much as I can out of the supplies. So let's go for it. The crew will feast. The glowing flesh is unstable. It crisps and withers as the glow fades, so eat it while it's fresh. Lost 45 hunger, new total 0. So basically, that's the same as getting 1 extra supply here, which is, I think, a really neat feature of this game. So the way that it makes you, sort of forces you between those decisions. In this case, that allowed me to get a little bit more out of my supplies, which I don't currently have the money for. In contrast to, say, gaining the knowledge, which would be sort of my best long-term option, but maybe one that wasn't appropriate for that decision. So, I don't know, it's kind of neat. I know this isn't the perfect searching pattern, but I figure the gaps that I leave I can always deal with when I return. Discovered Flitterstone Isle, and I've gained a secret. Speak to my officers to improve my abilities. I think I've already had that, though, don't I? Let's see my gazetteer. Yeah, so I thought I've always had this secret. A tale of terror. Recall it, then light a candle. Light another. Yeah. So I'm actually on side with Jack on this one, in that I haven't done a lot of travel because I spent a lot of my time either working or now that I've been in university. I was originally planning on getting a little bit of travel done sort of after completing my undergrad, but I'm heading straight to grad school afterwards, so I do have this research project that I get to do over the summer, but it just didn't seem like, in the end, a couple of months where I know that I'm just going to be heading straight back into school didn't really seem an appropriate time to get any more travel done. So it'd be really cool to have a job that would allow me to do some travel like that, although I suspect that's very different from being able to sort of decide on your destination as opposed to do it for a particular assignment. But we'll see. I mean, if I turn into an academic, I suppose my travel would be to different kinds of conferences, and if I don't become an academic, hopefully getting some something related to my discipline will pay well enough that I can have some leisure travel. All right, Shepherd Isles. Sheep, lichen, standing stones. Course, the billeted watchman tells you, there are no actual shepherds on the Shepherd Isles. Sheep are mostly illegal here. No, indeed, it's just the name of the gentleman that found the islands. Greybeard sitting in the village square nods solemnly. No sheep, one says, but plenty of tales. Ask us anything. Compile a port report. Oh, yes, there have been goings-on. And the bleak light o' false stars, surface rollin' like porridge pot, up with a roar of steam and flash of fire, 3 widows swimmin', tentacles, and then we saw His Highness. There's rather a lot of this material. You sound a lot like the professor that I'll be working with this summer. He's Canadian too. What is he a professor of? I know it's not the same guy because it's a lady professor who I'm working for, but... All right, what else can we do here? We can have a picnic at the Standing Stones, which will presumably decrease terror, cost 5 echo, which is not... Oh yeah, actually, let's just take a look at what we can do with shops. Well, I can't sell that wine. Starting to think I made a bad decision, so it would fetch 120 echoes and fall in London, so I would be selling that at a loss. Bioorganic chemistry. That is definitely not related to anything I know. So funny thing about this one is that I actually... So I needed mushroom wine, but I don't have enough supplies for this one. And I also don't have enough echo to get another officer, which is a shame. Let's do Tales of the Standing Stones. The bearded villagers are happy to talk about the local sites. Well, site. True as I stand here, there were sisters from the sisterhood over on Abbey Rock, came here hunting for a renegade who served a god called Stone. Ran her to the ground here, and she called on the god, and the god struck 'em all into pillars of rock. Stand close and quiet, and you'll hear 'em weepin'. Yes, it's the mushroom wine is something that I bought, hoping that I could sell it to one of these colonies, but I don't actually seem to have the option to do that. I've gained terror and a new tale of terror. So, seeing as I can't engage the officer and I can't sell what I was looking for, let's just vamoose. Where am I heading, though? I think I'll try going south at this point. There's a side of me which would like to also go to Hunter's Keep. So I'm wondering if I go south and then maybe I just go northwest on my way back. That actually sounds like a terrible plan, but... I'll revisit it when the time comes. I'm still doing okay for food. Stalagmites loom in the distance like cranes of Wolfstack docks, but vaster, vaster. The Corsair's forests, our lookouts are watchful. This world is webbed with invisible lines. You've crossed one, tighten them, and it would split like a fruit. So I'll take a look at this island, and then I think I'll go west again. On the horizon, a sickly yellow light glimmers for a moment, then fades. Only thing I've noticed in streaming this game is that the exploration part is very interesting for me, but I tend to notice, because the game sort of it reveals the plot in segments, I sometimes find it a little difficult to come up with any kind of commentary while I'm going through it, because in the end I'm trying to figure out what's going on myself. I think in this case I should start turning around. It did say the destination I was looking for was close to Fallen London, so I suspect I'm not actually going to find what I'm looking for here. But it does give me some contours in terms of where I would explore in future. That's, something gross looking. Okay, so I don't have a firing solution unless I turn the lights on, so let's back up. I think this is going to end badly for me. I think actually in this case I'm just going to run. I kind of failed in my initial attempt to shoot it, so yikes, didn't see that island there. I also think I wound up wasting some fuel by going full power. So, we found a port, so it's not a complete loss, but we definitely are shorter on supplies than I wanted to be, and in the end, engaged in a rather questionable bit of combat. Alright, Lonely Desert Beach. There's no habitation in sight, no market, very little way of maintained dock, so can't sell the wine. A stretch of sand thickens into damp black earth, from which sprout stunted palms? Not quite. Tall fungal growths with frond-like caps, as if someone sculpted the idea of a tree from a mushroom. These growths appear sparse near the beach, but clump closer together the farther inland one goes, clustering tightly into some sort of forest around the base of the island's central hill. You can see off in the distant dots of fire flecking the horizon, and hear clamor, shouts, and shot. If you look to the quay, you can make out an unusual shape of two tiny figures. See what awaits you. War? As you step onto the quay, you hear a large clamor, shouts, and shot. You can see off in the distance smoke rising from beyond the hill, and dots of fire flecking the horizon. Two tiny figures stand a little further down the quay, unmoving, rather as if awaiting your approach. The figures are rodents. To your left is Ratibus Faber, wearing goggles, a blacksmith's apron, and an assortment of tools. To your right is an unusually large guinea pig, wearing a helmet and a breastplate reminiscent of nothing so much as the High Middle Ages. The rat steps forward first and bows. "Welcome, Captain, to Rat Star Island. I am Edgar, second chief engineer of the 3rd Rat Brigade. I invite you to avail yourself of food and fuel at our expense. The only cost to you is a choice." The rat step backs at precisely the same moment. With what appears to be the ease of long habit, the guinea pig scuttles forward and makes a declamatory chirp. "Welcome, Captain, to the Isle of Cavia. I am Lady Augusta Devereux, Swinch of the Blackwater Swinches, Seneschal to the King Gracenaw, first of his name. I invite you to avail yourself of fuel and food at our expense. It will only the only cost to you is a choice." Two stand at attention, looking at you expectantly. What choice? Your question must needs be tentative. They sound so rehearsed. Enough of this. Sea monsters, faceless predators, screaming oceans, yes. But you draw the line at talking to guinea pigs in full armor. Back to the ship you go. What choice? Two remarkable rodent sit squat before you. To whom will you speak first? I will speak to the chief engineer first, I think. His eyes have a wave-cold glint to them, and he wears his scars like jewels. Stirring speech. You ask the chief engineer to elaborate. He looks at you for a long, measured moment before speaking gruffly. "We came to this island to make a home for ourselves away from London, its cats and snuffers, its rat-skin suits. We came to live as citizens of our own republic. We came with our tools, our teeth, our clever hands, and we made a beautiful city by the light of the rat star that shone bright and blue on Mount Ararat. The chief engineer nods towards the distant hill. One day we braved the depths of the chicken woods, and at the top of Mount Ararat we plucked the rat star to be our light, our beacon, and our flag. But the pigs of Cave saw the light, and they lusted for it. They sent armies to rule us and steal our star. We will not permit them to take what is ours. We will resist them to our last breath. Will you join us in defeating them? Speak to the Senshal. An effortless eloquence. The Senshal clears her throat with a delicacy to rival Duchess's own before speaking. Gracenaw the king, our lord and sovereign, full 7 months had sojourned on the sea, conquered this land, and won the southern main. Now no fortress against him shall remain, no city walls left for him to gain, save the rats that squeak behind the mountain. Unlikely was the lamb of our deliverance. Assured shall be our glories in their fall, when our lady's eye restored be to our hall. The Senshal composes herself, then adds, We saw truth and beauty by the light of our lady's eye on Mount Caveat. But the rats, with their guns and their chatter and their peasants' politics, stole it from us. We will subjugate them and take it back. They are a rabble, and we will rule them with steel-shod velvet of our paws. With the steel-shod velvet of our paws. Will you join us? I've heard enough, and I am ready to make a choice. Enough talk, you're ready to make a choice. The time has come to cast your lot with one faction or the other. Whom will you favor? Oh, that's interesting. I can attempt to broker a peace. Favor the chief engineer. He seems grumpy but honest. You've also seen what rat-made weapons can do, and perhaps you'd rather not be on the receiving end of them. This is because he's a former military man that I'm justifying this as well. A rat in the making. You extend a hand to the chief engineer, who shakes it grimly. The Senshal hisses and chatters her teeth in disgust, but keeps her distance. You've made the right choice, says the chief engineer. Let me show you around. The chief engineer leads you to the northern side of the island, skirting the chicken woods. You pass through a number of what can only be termed checkpoints as fierce-eyed rats shoulder their derringers and salute the chief engineer. Soon you come upon a small colony, smaller than some of the infestations you've encountered in London flats, only perhaps 50 ratus faber altogether, working diligently to fortify their side of the island. The first thing you notice is a brilliant light beaming out from the stump of the chicken wood about 6 feet high. It bathes the whole settlement in a clean blue glow, and is almost too bright to look at. By its light you can see several raised mounds of earth, suggesting shallow tunnels. An efficient fishing operation is set up by the water. An albino rat mends nets, while others stab sharpened sticks into the waves. Further inland is a barracks, where the sergeant barks drills at a small squadron of fighters. Your arrival draws attention, and several rats pause in their work to look at you curiously. Welcome to Morania, says the chief engineer, voice warm with pride. It's not so much to look at now, but it will be once we've roused the cavies. Take a stroll around while I summon the war council. With that, he vanishes into the mounds and leaves you to explore. Okay. This is definitely one of the most involved and interesting places I've run into. Do I have a shop yet? Nope. So I'm at the top of the hour again, so I'm going to take another small break. I will try to keep it just to 3 minutes this time. Thanks again for everybody who's come out. We've lost a couple just due to time, I suspect, and I'll probably have another hour in the broadcast before I probably turn in myself. I know it was a later start tonight, but I've had a number of very, very late nights as of late. But with that in mind, I'm just going to take a minute to stretch. I encourage you guys to do the same. I'll probably refill my water as well. And then we'll be back to wrap up this playthrough of Sunless Sea and hopefully get a little bit closer to our aspiration of writing our mighty tome before retiring. So see you guys in a couple minutes. All right, thank you everybody for your patience. Let's see what's going on with these rat people. We'll head straight to the barracks. The drill sergeant appears to be sizing you up. Can this be all the rats have to fight with? Against the odds. You approach the drill sergeant and go so far as to salute her, which earns you a grunt of satisfaction. The sergeant dismisses her troops and offers you a bit of chickenwood jerky to gnaw on. There's more of us below ground, she explains, but not enough. The cavies are bigger and there's more of them. We're better with weapons, but we haven't got the stuff to make them with. Most of us came here as stowaways and brought nothing but food, tools, and the fur on our backs. We can fish and we nibble on the chickenwoods, but we can't make guns out of trees. The cavies came with their own steamer and seem to have endless supplies. We raid them sometimes, but there's so few of us we can never get a hold of the territory that we've gained for long. But that's of no consequence. All we want to do is be left in peace to build our republic. And the Rat Star, she adds thoughtfully after a moment. Of course we want that too. Okay, head to the beach. What kind of fish might they catch here? And who ever heard of rats mending nets? Where the green billows play. An albino rat smiles quietly at you up from his mending work, dainty and a little shy. Chickenwood floats, especially when it's dried out and sealed, so we're able to paddle out our bit and cast our nets. We've come up with all sorts of things: blind fish, crabs, sometimes a chunk of broken tentacle. But the fishing would never have been so good without the Rat Star. He beams in kind. I think that it only draws good fish and keeps the scary ones at bay. I know the chief science officer doesn't believe it, but I do. That light is our livelihood. Head towards the Rat Star. An excitable-looking rat is peering through smoky goggles, twitching at her whiskers and making notes on what appears to be real paper. It's not a star, of course. Not really, but try explaining that to the others. The chief engineer doesn't want me working too hard to convince them. He says it's better for morale. But just look at it. Look! She offers you her goggles. You manage to work them over just enough of one of your eyes to see the truth of what's in the bowl. It's scintillac? But unlike any you've seen before. Blue as a sapphire, but more brilliant. Something about the clarity of its color and is tremendously soothing. The chief science officer titters with pleasure as you hand her goggles back. Those of us who've been to the Cavi side of the island and have lived to tell of it say that there's plenty of glow there, plenty of bright in the water all around, but nothing like this. We took this from the island's center, Mount Ararat. Only it's not a mountain, of course, any more than this is a star. It's hollow, and there's sweet water inside, and coral springing up the walls of it. Nothing that glows save this. It's ours now, and no one can take it from us. And wait for the War Council. You've done all the exploring you want. Time to take action. Chief Engineer emerges underground with a motley assortment of other rats. He introduces them as weapons experts, strategists, and field commanders. So you're going to help us beat the Cavies, he says, with a hard edge to his voice. But how exactly? So I can offer assistance with strategy with my generally not very good veils. Engineer distraction to enable the rats to raid the Cavies' ship for supplies. I can offer to attack the Cavies myself, which uses my iron. It's still 44% chance, which isn't that great. Alternatively, I can offer guns. I'd rather not get directly involved, but I can spare some scrap metal, which I definitely can't. That would leave me with one supply, and I'm very far away from London. So let's do the attack ourselves. A palpable hit. The rats give you what information they possess about the Cavi settlement, but you must make up a great deal on the spot. A perfect storm of speed, stealth, and strength in arms favors you. Your cannons let fly a volley of shot on the beach before the Cavies can scramble to get their own grounded ship to man its guns. Screams and squeals fill the air. Your enemy flees before you. Damp hush settles over your crew as smoke clears to reveal the torn, bloody bodies of the guinea pigs littering the shore. A grim business, but you've honored your commitment to the rats and found a wealth of scintillac ringing on the beach to harvest as spoils. So my memoirs, A Rat in the Making quality is now 4. I have 1 bale of parabola linen. I have 3 scintillac, whatever that is. I've succeeded in an iron challenge, and I have gained 1 terror, apparently, for the horrors that I've visited upon people. So. You've given the Ratus Faber all the assistance you can. What's next? Invite Ratus Faber on board with you. What's a ship without a few rats? Let's take a look. The chief engineer can't leave his colony, but he relays your request to his people. The albino rat you saw mending Nat steps shyly forward. I'm good at fixing things, he says earnestly, and I'd like to see more of the world. You wait for him to gather up some effects and say goodbye to his family before accompanying him on board. I've gained the albino tinkerer. Apparently I can't change officers yet, though, so I could intercede on behalf of the Cavies. They've been defeated, and you can tell that they've been ailing without the light of the Rat Star. Perhaps they've suffered enough. High-risk challenge, 25% chance with my current hearts, which is actually it's my secondary ability, but I don't feel that great about it. I could steal the Rat Star. Perhaps you think you deserve it as your due. Perhaps it's what you wanted all along. In either case, it should be an easy enough matter to snatch it from under the rats' noses while they're busy hurting their prisoners. 60% chance of success. Let's be awful. What are you doing? The science officer screams screams his anguished confusion loud enough to summon the chief engineer and drill sergeant before you can tap the star's brilliance into a hastily tossed blanket. One clamps it on your leg, the other bites your palm, and you miss your toes and are swiftly overcome by the anger of a dozen betrayed rats. It's all you can do to limp back to the ship and sail away before you suffer further, more permanent damage. An occurrence, your memorized rat in the making quality is now 9. I've gained 5 terror, failed the challenge, and I've lost 1 heart. Now 24. That doesn't make any sense. I'm assuming I'm not actually at 24 because I was at 32 before, so. All right, well, that didn't turn out. There's nothing left for you here except the story of the place. You now have 1 port report, Pigmote Isle. Unwelcome in the Republica sentence. Oh, probably because I tried stealing it. So now we need to find a place to, 1, sell my stuff, but 2, get supplies. Oh, we've already got supplies, so it's not as bad. How's it going, Freighter 5? It is Zunless Sea. The air trembles, a breath of change passes. So it'd be cool to search this black area here, but I probably should be focusing elsewhere. I'm also letting my terror kind of run away with me, but I think that's kind of inevitable given my circumstance. So again, there's a side of me that kind of wants to go north, especially because Hunter's Keep is there. But I also kind of condemn myself to not having enough supplies when I go back out. So let's start by going to Quaker's Heaven and seeing if I can sell off some of this wine. Oh. This is purely for knowledge. And we failed. I'd rather not eat my crew. Okay. Can't do anything. I can at least appoint the albino tink. Oh, it's a mascot? That's upsetting. So let's explore the shore. Oh, have I not been here before? A woman in an iridescent green gown waves vaguely from a rock near the shore. Sorrowful sighs waft across the water towards you. An idiot castaway? A mermaid? Of course not. Mermaids are a preposterous myth. I can approach. The poor woman won't answer your hails, but she's obviously in need of assistance. Or avoid. She's probably a pirate or a drownie or someone's feral aunt. Well, let's approach. That's all for now, okay? The fangmouth rears from the water, big enough to bite the boat in half or swallow a pig. The woman contorts and slides into the water. She's the tip of the monster's tail. This will be untidy. I don't have a strange catch, so I can flee because of iron with a 33% chance, or I can obliterate it for 33% chance, or I can flee with a 20% chance. I figure I'll go for the higher probability. A ferocious battle. With cutlass and pistol, your Zailers stride into battle. The serpent obviously expected nothing of the kind. It essays a number of savage strikes against you, but then a lucky shot takes it in the eye. You harvest its bones and scrape its hatchling young from among the rocks by the shore. I have 3 Stygian ivory, I have 1 harlot fry, and I quite unexpectedly succeeded that challenge. So. I really shouldn't be using up my echoes, but we'll chat to the fisherman for another port report. And now I'm seeing it was a mistake to buy that wine, because there's not a whole lot I can do with it. So. Why don't I have a firing solution? This does not make any sense. And now I am out of supplies. Okay, well now I've got my shooting solution, but I am in a really bad spot. Jesus Christ. Well. That's one. Let's see if we can turn this around. I still don't quite know why I wasn't allowed to fire it in the optimal position, but we'll work with what we have. I think I'll eat this next one. Or no, I should probably eat the last one. And again, it doesn't give me a shooting solution, even though it's in range. It's more than a little frustrating. God, Jesus Christ. Okay. I think I'm just going to accept the damage and just shoot this thing. I'm getting too panicky. Okay, we'll butcher it for supplies. And I'm actually, I believe I'm below, no, I'm not quite below, but I'm getting close to a point where I can't actually do proper repairs. Alright, well, I'll just take all of the damage to the hull and put a cap on this thing, because I seem to be taking the damage no matter what. And I'm not getting a firing... Okay, so I guess I have to click on it? That doesn't... I don't normally need to click on these things to get the firing solution, but... if that's what they want, so be it. But now I've got fuel concerns in addition to supplies, so... I think let's just go straight back to Fallen London and figure out what we do from there. I might just sell all but 2 of the wine so I have more options as far as repair. Actually, this is probably dumb, but let's just see if there's anything I can do at the... Oh, there is something I can do at the lightship, because I have news. So I have a Z story, I've lost 5 terror, and I've lost recent news, which is fine. Can't do anything else, though. So, at least a little bit of good news. Again, the ideal would have been to meet with the sisters as well, but I will take what I'll take what I've got. I think I get the combat a little bit better now, but it sucks that I had to take so much. Like, I think over half of the damage that I wound up taking in that combat was avoidable from some pretty simple things that weren't apparent to me until it was too late. Anyway, the Light of London welcomes you home. The storylet only appears when you've been at sea for a little while. Collect messages from the Harbour Master. All the clatter of song at the dockside, it soothes the soul. Are there messages for you? Let's see, we've got another day of free evening. Blind Bruiser would like a word. Something has changed in the Neath, and someone wants to sign on. Good evening, Captain. What a marvelous evening it is, if you don't mind my saying so, and given the impression that you are the obliging sort, I imagine you will not mind at all. And since you are so very obliging, perhaps you wouldn't mind making a little detour to Mount Palmerston with a few articles of cargo, if you happen to be in the area. The cheery man will, of course, cover your expenses for this trifling inconvenience. We will accept the commission. It is, after all, only a trifling convenience. If you would be so kind as to deliver this little gift to our friends in Mount Palmerston, so they can, so that when they see it get, then when they see, we gets to hear about it. Okay, and when you come back, I'll skip the stupid voice. When you come back, we'll cover your expenses. Bon voyage, as my aunt, who was French by birth, if not by inclination, used to say. Mount Palmerston is generally somewhere northeast of London. You agree to smuggle souls from London to Mount Palmerston, and I have one unstamped crate of brilliant souls. Play with my ferret. Play, that Eyrol says. Play. I played once in the happy warrens of London before you installed me in this floating coffin and made me eat dried food. Damn your play! It is an eloquent Eyrol. Let's start with the Dark Speckled Admiral, and we'll submit our port reports. So, Quaker's Haven, been trying the original Rebel lamps, have we? So, we've got some fuel and echo. Do Station 3. Excuse me, just let me call a colleague in. This is my colleague, Dr. Villain of the Ministry of Public Decency. Mr. Villain, this good captain's report is here. If you would care to... Yes, the fire is already lit. Let us... There we go. Now only ashes remain. It might have caused such a lot of trouble. Thank you, Captain. We appreciate your discretion. Here's your payment. You need not trouble yourself further with this affair. We've gained another favor, more fuel, got a new accomplishment, surveyed Station 3, and 100 echo, which is exactly what we needed. So, Shepherd Isles, we will submit as unsubstantiated hearsay. I definitely do not want to do a Veils challenge with that. Friendly scoffing. I agree, it does seem implausible. So many of the stories from that place do. Still, there's a little gold of truth in every mud of rumor. From time to time. Your payment, Captain. Got additional fuel and just 10 echo, but it's definitely at a point where I can use more of it, so I may not actually have to sell the cargo after all. Big Moda. I'm not certain I heard you correctly. Report submitted. Are you quite certain this is the report you wish to make? So be it. I've gained a fuel, favor, and 10 echo. Really? I founded a rat colony, for God's sake. All right. And I'm not really interested in getting any more fuel. Say what he needs. Nothing new there. So let's go back to the Wolfston docks. There is a side of me that would like to crown... Well, I mean, I have the 10 echo, so... Let's start with a new recruit. So the Haunted Doctor. I have a surgeon. What? Or the Genial Magician. Increases veils and mirrors. It's 50 echo, though. Let's go for it. Didn't seem to have much point in hiring another doctor, because, I mean, we've got First Officer, Chief Engineer, Gunnery Officer. I don't see any of those really working out, so speak to him. He's a good engineer despite the missing hand, but the sailors fall silent when he passes. Apparently I need supplies for pretty much any of this, and I'm not interested in increasing veils yet. Although, I mean, maybe it would make sense because I have a feeling this ship is not long for this world. Let's visit Clathermont's tattoo parlor. You're a real sailor now, after all. You could go for one of those tobacco and prey places by the docks. The prices at Clathermont's are reasonable, and his daughters are real artists. But what artist will you choose? I can get the Dauntless Hand, commemorate my daring. This will increase my iron by 2 permanently and cure up to 25 points of terror. The Wheel of Mists, commemorate my Sailor's skills. Increase Veils by 2. The Unflinching Eye, which I think I have the Echo for, but I don't have Memory of Distant Shores. Or the Gambit. Let's go all in on iron. The Dauntless Hand. New you, the gold needle pricks, Lily Clathermont hums. The design is complete, scales mapping your fingers like a gauntlet. Wear it proudly. I've lost 1 echo. My memories, my own sweet skin quality is now the Dauntless Hand. I've lost 21 terror. I've gained 2 iron, and I've lost 1 tale of terror. Merchant Venturer. An urchin tugs at your sleeve. Gumna wants a word. A brooding figure waits at the lamplight's edge. Speak to the Merchant Venturer. I have need of a reliable agent. Failing that, an inventive one. Here are my requirements. An opportunity for profit. He has very specific needs, but he'll pay much better than market rates, and he won't ask how you came by these things. The Venturer has a request. Speak with him further, or check your journal. You want something savage? So 7 hunting trophies, or 7 scintillac, which I currently have 3. Go to the alarming scholar. So we'll share the Z story. Thrilling. Let me hear every detail. First I must find my fountain pen. Oh, how regrettable. It has a spider impaled on the nib. Excuse me. Let me... Good heavens, it's still alive. Pass me that volume of Gibbon. There we go. Do you have another pen? Favor's Antiquarian is increasing. I've gained 10 echo and lost a Z story. And we have nothing else that we can do. So our terror is taken care of, so there's not as much of a point for carousing the docks, unless I want to try romance. Dry dock. $75 echo. Oh, the Admiralty Yards. Okay, so I can call in an Admiralty favor to have cheap, good quality work done on the ship. It's 25 echo, though. So I think let's just go to the shops and buy up some supplies. So I guess the question is now, do I want to sell any of that other stuff that I have? I think I'm going to try hanging on to the mushroom wine because I'm still going to be visiting other places. But for supplies really isn't that much. Nothing else for me in London unless I want to spend money. Oh, read the morning papers. News from abroad. The Khanate is threatening war. They always are. London's colonies are on the Karelian coast want independence. They always do. The undersea, the papers report, has undergone another alteration. Not yet it hasn't. You'd know. A promotional coupon from Miss Plenty's Provisioners for a half cask of salt herring. You could use that. Gained a supply, which is nice. And I have new recent news. Don't think I have anything else I want to do here. Unless it involves getting more supplies. Now we have a few different things that we can do now. So I think one was Mount Palmerston. Or was it? So we've got accomplishments, but what are our objectives? I wish I knew where this stuff was supposed to go. So it says the blind bruiser wants a word, but okay, I'm just gonna assume where I need to go. So I have kind of a guaranteed task for which will apparently make me solvent again in the northeast. So I think I'm going to take that. If I'm lucky, it'll also get me my Admiralty goal. But where my original plan was to go south, I think I actually need to try and get a little bit more money. Also gives me a chance to visit Hunter's Keep again. Also, we seem to have lost hearts again. All right. Let's go reconnoiter the island first. Ships rarely come here. Nothing changes, even the weather. The house is the heart of the isle, the house and the sisters. But the Admiralty may be happy to know that nothing's changed, at least. Not receiving visitors, the parlor is empty. Where are the sisters? The maid makes it clear, through a series of unwelcoming growls, that Phoebe, Lucy, and Cynthia, and all three are indisposed. No lunch today, apparently. Well, let's use our news. I can wait. You ask the self-ride maid to carry a few hints of your news to the sisters. Oddly enough, she comes back with a message that their headaches are cured, and you're invited to lunch. So let's try Cynthia this time. Cynthia grasps your arm and whispers to you. Her eyes are wide and blue. Her hair is wild and tangled. Bats might nest in it. It seems that you are sitting on a hillside above a wide blue lake, listening to a story of a murder, an axe, a net, blood on scented water. Another chop? Cynthia asks. You've barely touched your food. Here, I'll have the maid wrap something up for you. You can be hungry. It's not safe to be hungry. Or you can't be hungry. It's not safe to be hungry. So, Gods of the Disease, Salt's attention quality is now exclamation point. Still don't know what that is. Iron remains unchanged. I've gained 1 tale of terror. I've gained 1 level of terror and an additional supply, which is fantastic. And yeah, we can't sell the wine here. So let's just keep going northeast. I probably shouldn't have the lights out in the middle of the dark water like that. Looks like a port. Nope, just a light patch of green. A baked breeze rises, the improbable scent of stone out of some distant desert. You are close to the salt lions. Let's send out a Z-Bat. Salt lions are a long way to the east. Then east we will go. Laughter from the foredeck. Some distance in the northeast. That is one tough creature. Yikes. Damn it. The Gillifleur, or is it a young jellyfish? Lesser subspecies. Do the dreams of jellyfish become real? In any case, now it's a sad slick of goo dissolving into the sea. I can watch it disperse. Okay, scoop it up, perhaps you can eat it. Better yet, perhaps your sailors can. Or let it disperse, watch its oil rainbow colors fade. Yeah, let's go for that. From above, the Gillifleur's cap does look like a little like a woman's face. She dissolves into smeared paint. I now have a Z story. And one very badly damaged ship. So I am learning that combat is not my specialty. But this should be a port of some kind, I think. Abbey Rock is some distance to the south. I thought I already discovered Abbey Rock. So it doesn't seem like this is something I can... Oh, there we go, Zealport. There's a vast sorrow in their empty eyes. Two basalt beasts cathedral-sized. Two basalt beasts, cathedral-sized. They frown eternally at each other across the black waves. The north one carries an encampment. Creeping human figures eat away at the features like rot. Picking. There's a supply dock below. Let's go to shop. There's really no point in buying commodities in this game, then. Okay, visit the Unmakers. Muscular pick wielders rest on camp stools, watching you approach, passing hip flasks around. An unctuous overseer beckons you to sit. Fungal tisane and tea cakes. We get funding from the bazaar, it's true, but Station 4? I wouldn't call us Station 4. It's a little grandiose. The stones are stuffed with secrets, but most of them are used as garden statuary or occult ballast. Most of them. Some go down to the places under the bazaar. More tea cakes? I have a fragment, that's all for now, and I've lost 5 tears. I have no idea what he was talking about. Carry Sphinx Stone to London. You need a deposit and 20 units of spare cargo space. Just compile a port report and move on if it doesn't let us buy and sell. Well, I do notice a little figure here, so I'm gonna... I mean, we're pretty much desperate for all fuel and supplies. So we'll see what's to the west. And we may need to go back to London with our tail between our legs. Actually, I guess going to Vanderblight is the most sensible thing in this situation, because I'm pretty sure we have the fuel that'll allow us to get there, and then we can sort of figure out what to do with whatever money we have left at that point. That's warm. I didn't even know they hit us. Oh well. Oh, see, both of these options suck. Little leathery corpses lie scattered around your deck. The rest of the swarm vanishes into the nethery dark. Or neathy dark. So, gather up the corpses that are succulent with stolen blood into the pot, where I reduce the hunger that I don't have a lot of. Or dispose of the corpses that are mere touch leaves you shuddering. Both my hunger and my terror are really low. So, gather up the corpses, gain 1 terror, and... Oh, at least I gained a supply, though, so we restored what we lost. Okay, let's get to Vanderblight before we completely run out of fuel. More bats. Good lord. Oh man, they killed us. Should have paid attention to my hull. Alright, your ship founders. There are screams, a flood of dark water, the unforgettable sound of the ship's spine breaking. Slip beneath the waves. Perhaps you'll be remembered in song. No more sleep. Choose a legacy to preserve something for your next captain. Your first captain has died. Don't worry, these things happen. Explore boldly with your next captain. Your memoirs, quality of lodging, quality has gone. Well, Blood, you came back just in time to watch us die. In memoriam, Lipsy died December 24th, 1887. Sleep. Legacy qualities unlocked. Did not have Ironclad Wall, did not have a Scion, did not have Horizon Codex, Broke of Sharps, Traveling Late, Dream of Red, Manual of Miracles. So... Warrant of Redemption. I was Lipsy's rival, retained 50% of their iron value and 1 weapon. Pupil, retained 50% of their mirror... Oh, I don't even get a choice. So pretty much very average on everything. Starting wealth of 50, which is better than what we've got right now. No starting chart. And we inherit the exact same weapon that we start with. So, well, accept the legacy. And for that, it's actually very timely because I was going to wrap up for midnight. I am 1 minute away from midnight, and you guys know that I take too long to do my wrap-ups. So, I'm going to quit to the title screen just so I can do a little bit of a wrap-up of the game. We can review what the oncoming week is going to be and items like that. And of course, most importantly, I can thank everybody for hanging out because we had some very good and consistent numbers tonight. Again, I sometimes think I sound a little too obsessed with them. That's mostly just an acknowledgement of everybody's support in the stream rather than... I mean, I have to look at the numbers because I got my dashboard up, but I'm definitely much more grateful for the fact that there are people here. The fact that the number is larger than what I normally expect is an added bonus. So, Sunless Sea, kind of the first time I've really sat down and played through this with any consistency. It's a really interesting game. It's one that I really feel like I'm a little underprepared to play, but it seems to be that sort of the game has that in mind. What I'm going to do is all subsequent captains are going to have names and histories chosen by chat. So when I will do my best to sort of announce when the streams are going live on Twitter a little bit more in advance than I did this week. So most likely we'll wind up playing Sunless Sea next Monday, although I'm always looking for more opportunities to get some extra streams in. We'll see what happens after my meeting for the research project and graduation, of course. So a couple things that are going to come up this week. What is the 21st, actually? Let me just bring up my calendar so I can see the exact dates for things. Okay, so I'm clear on Thursday. So my graduation is this Friday. Now, the fact of the matter is that I would prefer to be streaming like I always do, and that is definitely my Crusader Kings night. I don't know how long graduation is going to take. It is in the afternoon, but of course there's always other things that I wind up doing. So if I can't wind up getting a Crusader Kings game done on Friday, I will announce it as soon as I can to when I know, and we will do a replacement Crusader Kings stream. I think at the moment I'm going to just work on the assumption that I am going to be streaming Crusader Kings on Friday, but whether or not that actually becomes a reality is sort of dependent on how the festivities run. Graduations always seem to wind up taking forever. And obviously the family's coming out for that. They want to, spend the time to celebrate. So if there is a Crusader Kings 2 stream, it'll probably be a late one. What I may do is just move it to another day to make it a little bit more accommodating, because in the end I'm probably just going to wind up spending too little time on CK2. Other than that, I might try to do something Wednesday, but again, that'll be a matter for Twitter, just because Wednesday's when I do the research meeting. And if I have my marching orders, like if I have stuff that I can get done, I'll probably want to spend the time getting that taken care of, just so, I can have the free time in the future. Obviously, there's no point in setting aside work for tomorrow if I can get it done today. Dota 2 stuff, I'm going to start doing some biographies of the teams, but I don't know, especially because it's going to be a somewhat disrupted week already. I think I'll just try and keep the normal stream days, so one of the weekends and Mondays, to be dedicated to games like Sunless Sea. I have a couple of others that I'm considering in terms of putting into a rotation, so I'm not going to announce those because it's nice to have some options just before I wind up streaming. But obviously, if there's something that you'd like to see, feel free to always send a message over Twitch. And I can never make promises in terms of what I'll play, because I have a suspicion that these casts are a little bit more fun to watch when I'm having fun. And I'm certainly not one of the people who can or has any inclination to play the latest games that get released. It's definitely a little bit more along the lines of things that I think can be streamed in a somewhat entertaining fashion for here. So overall, I like Sunless Sea. Like I said, I feel underprepared for it, but the game sort of seems to be designed along those lines. And the last thing that I'd like to do, because you guys have been very kind with your support, is to pass it along and host somebody for the evening. And I sadly am running into the same problems that I had last night, where for whatever reason Twitch isn't listing... Oh, here we go. Got a couple people up. It looks like Alaskan Savage is actually starting his stream tonight. And he's going to be playing The Witcher 3, which I think looks really interesting. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to host Alaskan Savage tonight. I encourage you guys to hang out. I think a lot of you already follow his channel, but he's, I was going to say, he's the one that I saw come up in the Twitch alerts, so if anybody else is still casting tonight, I'll have to check my tablet. But he's a really fun caster to watch. I'm pretty sure he's starting Witcher 3 tonight because that got released, and if you haven't... Excuse me one second. If you haven't seen him before, I definitely encourage you guys to stick around, hang out for a little bit, see what's going on. I don't have any formal thing that I say for System Chalk raids, but if you'd like to let him know that you came from the channel, it's definitely appreciated. No obligation to do so, but definitely give him a chance if you haven't seen his channel before, because I think he's got a great attitude, very entertaining cast, and a lot of people compliment him on his voice, so if you're looking for something to take you to sleep, he might be accommodating towards that as well. So that's enough for me. I hope you guys have a great night, regardless of what you do. And we will see you next stream.